Camilla had always believed that her life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Every morning she would wake up early, prepare breakfast, and sip her tea by the window while watching the sun rise over the city. Her apartment was tidy and filled with memories of happier times. Photographs of family trips, old souvenirs, and paintings that she loved decorated the walls. Yet beneath the calm of her everyday life, a small part of her always worried about her only son, Daniel. Daniel had moved out several months ago. He had found a small apartment downtown, eager to live independently. Camilla had felt proud but nervous. She remembered the day he packed his belongings into a modest car and drove away. His excitement had been contagious, yet she could not shake the feeling that the world outside her home could be unpredictable. She had trusted him, knowing that he was responsible and careful, but being a mother meant that worry was always present. On that particular afternoon, Camilla was arranging her plants by the window. The sunlight touched the leaves, and the faint fragrance of jasmine filled the room. She enjoyed this moment of peace, listening to the distant sounds of the city below. A gentle breeze fluttered the curtains, and for a moment she allowed herself to relax. However, the sudden knock on her door shattered that tranquility. It was not an ordinary knock. It was firm and commanding, carrying a sense of urgency. Camilla froze. Her hand rested on the doorknob, and she hesitated for a moment, trying to compose herself. She was not expecting visitors at this hour. When the knock came again, louder this time, she knew she could not ignore it. Taking a deep breath, she opened the door. Two men stood there, dressed in crisp uniforms that Camilla had only seen during special ceremonies or on television. Their posture was straight, their faces serious, and their eyes held a mixture of concern and determination. Camilla felt a shiver run down her spine. One of the men spoke in a calm but authoritative tone. "Madam, we are with the Royal Guard," he said. "We have a matter to discuss regarding your son, Daniel. It is urgent and sensitive. May we come in?" Camilla's heart raced. She had always thought of the Royal Guard as distant figures, responsible for the safety of the palace and high-ranking officials. She never imagined that they would come to her home, let alone regarding her son. She stepped aside, allowing them to enter. The guards moved with precision, scanning the apartment quickly yet respectfully. Camilla led them to the living room, where she gestured for them to sit. Her hands trembled slightly as she poured tea into 3 cups. The silence that followed was tense, filled with unspoken questions. Camilla did not know what to ask first. The lead guard cleared his throat. "Madam, we received information that requires us to visit Daniel's apartment. There is no immediate danger, but the matter involves serious issues that need to be addressed carefully. We need your cooperation to ensure that everything is handled properly." Camilla felt a wave of fear and confusion. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could her son have been involved in some kind of trouble? Had he made a mistake that she did not know about? She struggled to imagine Daniel, who was always polite, intelligent, and kind, doing anything that could attract the attention of the Royal Guard. The guard must have noticed her concern. "Madam, we understand this is alarming, but Daniel has not done anything illegal. This is not a criminal matter. It is more about information that could cause misunderstandings if not handled correctly. We need to clarify the situation before it becomes serious." Camilla took a deep breath. Relief mixed with anxiety as she realized that her son was not in danger, but the unknown still loomed large. She nodded slowly. "I understand. I will go with you." The drive to Daniel's apartment was quiet. Camilla sat in the back seat, her mind filled with questions. She remembered her son's excitement when he had first shown her his new place. It was small but cozy, with a bright living room, a tiny kitchen, and a balcony overlooking the streets below. He had decorated it with posters of his favorite books and some potted plants. It had seemed perfect for a young man starting his independent life. Now, however, the apartment seemed to her like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Why would the Royal Guard need to inspect it? She tried to think of all the possibilities. Perhaps Daniel had received something important in the mail. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Her motherly intuition told her that her son had always been careful, and she trusted him. Yet the curiosity and tension in her chest grew stronger with every passing minute. When they arrived, Camilla noticed the building from a distance. It was a modest structure, not far from the center of the city. The walls were painted in soft colors, and the small courtyard in front had neatly arranged flower pots. Children were playing nearby, and a few people walked past, seemingly unaware of the seriousness of the situation. Camilla realized that her life and the lives of others could look ordinary from the outside, but within, events could unfold that were anything but ordinary. The guard led her to Daniel's door. Camilla's hand hesitated above the doorknob. She could hear faint sounds from inside, perhaps music or the hum of the refrigerator. She tried to calm herself, repeating silently that her son was safe, that this was only a matter of clarification. She opened the door, and a warm, familiar scent of home welcomed her. Daniel looked up from the small table where he had been working on his laptop. His eyes widened slightly when he saw the guard standing behind his mother. He quickly stood, trying to maintain his calm. "Mom, what is happening?" he asked, his voice steady but curious. Camilla stepped forward, taking his hand briefly. "Daniel, the royal guard is here. They said it is urgent and involves your apartment. They assure me you are not in danger, but we need to cooperate with them." Daniel nodded slowly, understanding the seriousness of the situation. He had always known that curiosity and diligence could lead to unexpected attention. He gestured for his mother to enter, and together they moved into the living room. The apartment looked exactly as Daniel had arranged it, tidy, organized, and welcoming. Books lined the shelves, plants thrived on the windowsill, and small personal items made the space feel like home. The lead guard addressed Daniel directly. "Sir, we have reason to believe that there may be certain items or information in this apartment that require our review. This is standard procedure, and we ask for your cooperation." Daniel nodded again. "Of course. I have nothing to hide. Please feel free to check everything." Camilla watched as the guards began their careful inspection. They moved slowly, opening drawers, examining cupboards, and looking under furniture. Daniel remained calm, observing their actions without interruption. Camilla's heart pounded, but she also felt a quiet pride. Her son handled the situation with composure and respect, showing the integrity she had always admired in him. As the guards inspected the apartment, Camilla could not help but notice small details she had never paid attention to before. There were notebooks filled with neat handwriting, documents carefully organized in folders, and letters stacked in a drawer. It became clear that Daniel was not just living here. He was keeping records, notes, and information with great care. Her curiosity grew. What could be so important to attract the attention of the royal guard? Camilla took a seat on the sofa, trying to make sense of the situation. She realized that life often brought unexpected challenges, even in the most ordinary settings. She reminded herself that her son was brave and intelligent, capable of handling situations she could only imagine. She watched the sunlight fall across the room, reflecting off the small objects that Daniel had collected over time. Each item seemed to tell a story, and she wondered what secrets lay hidden in the quiet corners of the apartment. The guards worked methodically, checking every corner. Camilla remained silent, observing the process with a mixture of concern and anticipation. She knew that whatever was discovered would not define her son, but it could reveal a side of him she had never seen. She felt both fear and hope, uncertain of what lay ahead. Time seemed to stretch as the inspection continued. Camilla's thoughts wandered between memories of Daniel as a child and the young man he had become. She remembered his determination, his kindness, and his sense of justice. She realized that whatever awaited them in this apartment, it would show not just the circumstances but the character of her son. Finally, the lead guard paused and looked at Camilla and Daniel. His expression was serious but measured. "We have found something important," he said. "It is best to explain everything carefully. Madam, please stay calm. Sir, you will need to answer a few questions. Nothing here indicates wrongdoing, but this discovery is significant." Camilla held her breath. Her heart raced, her mind filled with a mixture of worry and anticipation. She looked at her son and saw a calm determination in his eyes. Daniel had faced challenges before, but this was unlike anything they had experienced. The quiet apartment, once ordinary, had become the center of attention for matters far beyond their expectations. In that moment, Camilla realized that her life, her son's life, and the simple apartment they stood in were about to change. The peaceful afternoon had given way to a situation filled with intrigue, curiosity, and hidden truths. Whatever awaited them, they would face it together. She took Daniel's hand, feeling the strength of their bond, and prepared. Camilla felt her pulse quicken as the lead guard gestured for her and Daniel to follow him further into the apartment. Every step they took felt heavier than the last. The familiar living room, which had once felt comforting and ordinary, now seemed like a place full of secrets. Camilla's eyes wandered across the neat shelves, the books lined up in perfect order, and the small plants basking in the sunlight. Everything looked ordinary, yet she sensed that something extraordinary had been hidden within these walls. The guards moved with careful precision, checking each room one by one. Camilla stayed close to Daniel, her eyes following their every movement. The first room they entered was his bedroom. Camilla had visited it only a few times before, and remembered it as a tidy space with a small desk, a bed with clean sheets, and a wardrobe against the wall. The guards opened drawers, examined bookshelves, and even looked under the bed. Daniel calmly explained that everything in the room belonged to him, and that he kept it organized to make it easier to find things. Camilla was impressed by her son's composure. She could see his confidence and honesty in the way he answered questions. He was not afraid, and that steadiness reassured her. The guards moved on to the kitchen. It was small but spotless. Camilla could see that Daniel cared about cleanliness and order. She noticed a faint smell of coffee lingering in the air, and the soft glow of sunlight reflecting off the tiled floor. One of the guards stopped in front of a small cabinet near the counter. His hand hovered over the cabinet, and he looked at Daniel. "This cabinet looks ordinary, but sometimes things are hidden in places like this," the guard said gently. "We need to check carefully." Daniel nodded and stepped aside. The guard opened the cabinet slowly, revealing shelves with neatly stacked dishes. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Camilla breathed a small sigh of relief, thinking perhaps this was going to be a simple check. But then the guard pressed against the back of the cabinet and a small panel clicked open, revealing a hidden compartment. Camilla gasped softly. A hidden compartment? She had never imagined that there would be anything like this in her son's apartment. The guard carefully opened it further. Inside there were stacks of letters, some photographs, and envelopes sealed with markings that looked official and important. Her heart began to race. These were not ordinary items. Something significant was hidden here, and it was clear that it had attracted attention from the royal guard for a reason. Daniel stepped forward calmly and said, "These are my research materials. I collect letters and documents about events in the city and about some issues in the royal court. I keep them safe so I can study them carefully." Camilla was surprised. She had never known that Daniel was involved in something so serious. Her son had always been curious and intelligent, but this level of dedication and secrecy was new to her. She felt a mixture of pride and worry. She wanted to understand everything, but she also wanted to protect him. The guards exchanged glances, clearly impressed by Daniel's honesty and organization. "Sir, your care and discretion are noted," the lead guard said. "However, some of these materials involve matters of public importance. That is why we needed to verify them here." Camilla looked around, trying to comprehend the situation. The apartment, which had always felt ordinary, was now a treasure trove of information. Each letter and document held stories that could have consequences beyond their apartment walls. Yet Daniel had never used them for personal gain. He had simply collected and observed, trying to understand the world around him. One of the letters caught Camilla's attention. She reached for it carefully, reading the neat handwriting. The letter described events in the city, highlighting issues that many people overlooked. It also contained notes on decisions made by officials and suggestions on how fairness could be maintained. Camilla realized that her son had been working quietly to gather information that could help people and improve the way things were done. The guards continued their inspection. They opened envelopes, examined photographs, and checked the folders with great care. Camilla observed silently, amazed at her son's diligence. She had always known Daniel was intelligent, but this level of meticulous work showed a depth of character she had not fully appreciated. He was brave, careful, and determined to do what was right, even if it meant keeping his work secret. "Mom, I did not expect this would ever attract attention," Daniel said quietly, noticing her expression. "I only wanted to understand and keep records." "I did not intend to cause trouble." Camilla smiled gently, feeling both proud and concerned. "Daniel, I'm proud of your honesty and your careful work, but I am also worried because this has drawn attention. We need to be careful about what happens next." The lead guard approached them. "Sir, madam, the discovery here is not negative. It is significant, yes, but it shows intelligence, diligence, and care. Our concern is that some of this information, if it were to spread carelessly, could cause misunderstandings or alarm. Camilla nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Her son's careful work had become something that others noticed, and that attention could have consequences. She realized that while Daniel's intentions were pure, the world outside could misinterpret his actions if they were not explained properly. The guards continued to examine other areas of the apartment. They checked the living room again, opening small drawers and inspecting shelves. Camilla noticed that each item her son had carefully placed had a purpose. Books, photographs, and even small notes were part of a larger effort to observe, record, and learn. She felt a surge of admiration for her son. Daniel walked over to the balcony, looking down at the streets below. He seemed calm, even thoughtful. Camilla watched him closely. She could see that he was not afraid of the attention, but rather focused on understanding the situation. His composure gave her a sense of reassurance, knowing that he could handle challenges with wisdom and patience. The lead guard finally addressed them. "Sir, we have now completed our initial review. Some items here require further clarification with the royal office. Madam, we ask that you remain calm. Your son has acted responsibly, but the information he collected needs to be assessed to ensure everything is handled properly." Camilla took a deep breath. She felt a mixture of relief and continued anxiety. The situation was serious, yes, but her son's honesty and dedication shone through. She realized that what had seemed like a simple apartment visit had revealed a side of Daniel she had never fully understood. He had been quietly working on something important, and it had now drawn attention from those in authority. Daniel turned to his mother and the guards. "I am ready to explain everything and cooperate fully," he said. "I only wish to ensure that the information is used responsibly and that no harm comes from my work." The lead guard nodded. "That is exactly what is needed. Your careful handling of this information shows wisdom and responsibility. The next steps will involve proper review and discussions, but for now, there is no immediate concern. We simply need to ensure that everything is recorded accurately and understood by the appropriate people." Camilla felt a sense of calm beginning to return. The tension in the room slowly eased as she realized that her son was safe, and that the situation, though serious, was under control. She looked around the apartment once more, noticing the sunlight falling across the room, the small details of Daniel's life, and the quiet order he had maintained. It was clear to her that this apartment was more than a living space. It was a place where her son had nurtured his curiosity, intelligence, and sense of responsibility. As the guards finished their inspection, Camilla realized that her perception of the apartment had changed. It was no longer just a simple space. It was a reflection of Daniel himself, organized, thoughtful, and capable of great care and understanding. She felt proud, but also thoughtful about what this situation meant for the future. The lead guard finally closed the last drawer and turned to Camilla and Daniel. "We will take some of these materials for review at the office. Sir, your cooperation is appreciated. Madam, thank you for your understanding. This concludes our initial visit, and we will ensure that everything is handled carefully and appropriately." Camilla nodded, feeling relief mixed with curiosity. She knew that this was not the end, but the beginning of a process that could reveal even more about her son's intelligence and dedication. She looked at Daniel, who smiled quietly, his calm demeanor never faltering. For the first time, Camilla understood the depth of her son's character. He had acted with honesty, care, and responsibility, and the situation, though unexpected, had shown her the remarkable young man he had become. The apartment, once ordinary, had revealed secrets that reflected courage, wisdom, and intelligence, and Camilla knew that whatever happened next, her son was ready to face it. Camilla watched as the guards carefully packed some of Daniel's documents into neat folders. The sunlight streaming through the windows reflected off the polished surfaces, casting a warm glow over the room. Despite the calm appearance, Camilla could feel the weight of the moment. For months she had believed she knew her son well, but now she realized that Daniel had kept something extraordinary hidden within the walls of his small apartment. Daniel stood by the table, his hands folded calmly in front of him. His expression was composed, yet there was a quiet intensity in his eyes. Camilla could sense that her son had anticipated this moment. He had always been thoughtful, often spending hours researching or reading, but the depth of his commitment had become clear only now. One of the guards looked at Camilla and said, "Madam, it is important to understand that your son's actions are not wrong. On the contrary, he has displayed intelligence, responsibility, and courage. What we found here shows that he has been investigating matters that could affect the royal court and public affairs." Camilla blinked, trying to comprehend the significance of his words. "Investigating?" she asked softly. "Daniel, what exactly have you been doing?" Daniel took a step forward. "I have been collecting information about events in the city and some decisions made in the royal court. My goal was to understand the system better and to see where improvements could be made. I never intended for anyone to get hurt or for secrets to be exposed improperly. I just wanted to know the truth and to help if I could." Camilla felt a mixture of pride and concern. She had always known Daniel was curious, but this went beyond ordinary curiosity. He had been observing, recording, and analyzing with great care. His intention was not mischief or trouble. It was understanding and learning. She realized that her son had qualities far beyond what she had imagined. The lead guard nodded. "Sir, your discretion and care are noted. However, the information you have gathered is sensitive. That is why we had to verify it here, and why it will be reviewed by the appropriate authorities. Your work is valuable, but it must be handled carefully." Daniel listened attentively. "I understand," he said. "I only want to ensure that the information is used for the right purpose. I did not seek attention or recognition. I wanted to learn and help quietly." Camilla felt her chest swell with admiration. Her son had acted with integrity, showing thoughtfulness and maturity. She realized that the scandalous impression that had caused her fear earlier was a misunderstanding. Daniel had not done anything wrong. In fact, he had acted with a sense of responsibility that few people his age could demonstrate. The guards continued their review, looking through photographs and letters. Camilla picked up one of the documents herself. It contained notes about city events, highlighting areas where improvements could be made. Some of the letters described decisions made by officials, along with Daniel's careful observations about fairness and efficiency. Camilla could see that her son had a strong sense of justice and a desire to understand the world around him. "Mom," Daniel said quietly, "I kept these records to learn, not to expose anyone. I wanted to see how things worked and how problems could be solved. I thought if I understood everything, I could help people make better choices." Camilla felt a warm pride mixed with awe. Her son had always been kind and smart, but now she understood that he had the patience and intelligence to analyze complex situations carefully. She also realized how important it was to guide him as he navigated these challenges. The guards were careful and professional, but the weight of responsibility was now visible on Daniel's young shoulders. One guard pointed to a folder marked with the royal insignia. "This contains correspondence that is important for public affairs. Your attention to detail is impressive. It is clear you have been methodical and responsible in keeping records and notes." Daniel nodded. "I made sure to document everything carefully. I did not want to make mistakes or overlook anything important. I also wanted to make sure that my understanding was accurate before sharing it with anyone." Camilla could see that the secret Daniel had been keeping was not just about information. It was about character. He had shown patience, discipline, and a commitment to truth. She felt proud but also concerned about the challenges he might face. Handling sensitive information required careful judgment, and she knew her son was capable, yet the world outside could be unpredictable. The lead guard addressed Camilla directly. "Madam, your son's actions demonstrate responsibility and intelligence. He has done nothing wrong, but the nature of the information requires proper handling. We will ensure that it is reviewed carefully and used appropriately. Your son's honesty and caution are commendable." Camilla nodded, feeling relief wash over her. She realized that the situation, while serious, was also an opportunity for Daniel to grow and make a difference. Her fear was replaced by admiration and a quiet determination to support him through whatever came next. Daniel stepped closer to the hidden compartment and gently placed some letters back inside. He closed it carefully as if to protect the work he had done. Camilla noticed the care in his movements and felt a deep respect for her son. She understood that this apartment had become more than a home. It was a place of learning, discovery, and responsibility. The guards prepared to leave with the materials for review. Daniel accompanied them to ensure that everything was handled properly. Camilla stayed behind, watching as her son walked calmly with the guards, explaining details and answering questions with precision. She felt a sense of pride and relief. Her son had faced a situation that could have been intimidating, but he had done so with courage and intelligence. Once the guards left, Camilla and Daniel returned to the living room. The apartment felt quiet again, but the experience had changed their perspective. Camilla looked around at the books, the notes, and the carefully arranged items. She realized that Daniel had created a world of knowledge and understanding within these walls. "Mom," Daniel said softly, "I know this might be surprising. I never told anyone because I did not want to worry you. I just wanted to learn and do the right thing." Camilla smiled and hugged him. "Daniel, I am proud of you. Your honesty, intelligence, and care are remarkable. You have handled this situation with courage and wisdom. I want you to know that I will support you no matter what comes next." They sat together in the quiet apartment, reflecting on what had just happened. The sunlight continued to pour through the windows, casting warmth across the room. Camilla felt a mixture of relief, pride, and curiosity about what the future might hold. She realized that the situation had revealed not only the importance of Daniel's work, but also the strength of his character. Over the next few hours, Camilla and Daniel talked quietly about the letters, photographs, and notes. They discussed the meaning of the information and the responsibility that came with it. Daniel shared his thoughts carefully, explaining the observations he had made and the lessons he had learned. Camilla listened attentively, realizing that her son had grown in ways she had never imagined. The apartment, once ordinary, now felt like a place of discovery and growth. Each item, each note, and each photograph was part of a larger story, a story of responsibility, curiosity, and intelligence. Camilla felt proud and hopeful. She knew that Daniel's work, handled carefully, could make a positive difference. As evening approached, the apartment remained calm. The sun set slowly, casting a golden hue over the room. Camilla and Daniel sat together, reflecting on the day's events. She realized that the scandalous impression she had feared was nothing more than a misunderstanding. Her son's actions were honorable, and his dedication to understanding and fairness was clear. Camilla felt a deep sense of admiration for Daniel. She knew that challenges lay ahead, but she also knew that her son was capable, intelligent, and responsible. The secret he had kept had revealed not just information, but the character of a young man ready to face the world with courage and wisdom. In that quiet evening, mother and son shared a moment of understanding and connection. They both knew that life would continue to bring surprises, but together they could face them. Camilla felt grateful for her son, and Daniel felt reassured by his mother's support. The apartment, once a simple home, had become a place of reflection, discovery, and growth. Camilla realized that her fear had been replaced by pride, her concern by admiration, and her uncertainty by confidence in her son's abilities. The secret revealed within the apartment was not a source of trouble, but a testament to Daniel's intelligence, courage, and honesty. She knew that the future, though unpredictable, would be brighter because of the strength and character of her son. The next morning, Camilla awoke feeling both anxious and determined. The events of the previous day had left her with many thoughts swirling in her mind. Daniel's apartment had revealed a secret world of information and knowledge, and while she had seen her son's courage and intelligence, she also knew that this discovery would bring challenges. She prepared breakfast quietly, her mind focused on the conversations that might come later. Daniel entered the kitchen, looking calm and composed as always. He carried a small folder of notes that the royal guard had left with him temporarily. His eyes met his mother's, and there was a quiet understanding between them. Both knew that today could bring the first real consequences of the discoveries in his apartment. "Mom," Daniel said softly, "I have been thinking about what the guards said. They are taking some of my materials for review, and there may be questions from the royal office. I need to be prepared and honest in everything I say." Camilla nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "Daniel, you have acted with honesty and care from the beginning. No matter what questions they ask, I know you will handle them wisely. I will be by your side." After breakfast, a car arrived to take Daniel to the royal office. Camilla accompanied him, feeling a mixture of nervousness and trust. She had spent the night thinking about how much her son had grown and how capable he had become. Though the situation was serious, She also understood that this was an opportunity for Daniel to show his integrity and intelligence to others. The drive to the royal office was quiet. Daniel reviewed his notes carefully, making sure he remembered important details. Camilla observed him, impressed by his focus and determination. She realized that her son's secret had prepared him for this moment. He had been cautious, thoughtful, and patient, qualities that now gave him confidence in the face of uncertainty. When they arrived at the royal office, they were greeted by officials who were polite but serious. Daniel's materials had already been reviewed by some of the staff, and the documents were carefully laid out on a large table. Camilla stayed close, observing how calmly Daniel interacted with the officials. His composure was remarkable for someone so young. The lead official spoke first. "Daniel, we have reviewed the materials you collected. It is clear that you have put great care and intelligence into this work. However, we need to discuss the purpose and the details of your research, as some of this information could have significant implications." Daniel nodded respectfully. "I understand. My intention was never to cause harm or trouble. I wanted to understand events and decisions better, and to see how things could be improved. I kept records carefully so that I could provide accurate observations if needed." The officials listened attentively as Daniel explained his work. He spoke clearly, calmly, and respectfully. He described how he collected information about events in the city, decisions made by officials, and areas where improvements could help people. Camilla watched, amazed by her son's ability to communicate effectively. She realized that Daniel had grown in ways she had not fully appreciated until now. One of the officials asked, "Daniel, did you share this information with anyone before our review?" Daniel shook his head. "No, I kept everything private. I wanted to ensure accuracy and responsibility. I did not want to create misunderstandings or reveal information to the wrong people." The officials nodded, clearly impressed by his honesty and careful approach. Camilla felt a sense of pride and relief. Her son had acted with integrity, and the situation, though serious, was being handled correctly. After a long discussion, the officials explained that some of the materials would be used to improve transparency and efficiency in public affairs. They emphasized that Daniel's work had value but needed to be applied carefully. Camilla realized that the secret her son had kept was not only about information, but about making a positive difference. As the meeting concluded, Daniel was praised for his responsibility, intelligence, and careful handling of sensitive information. The officials assured him that his work would be respected and used for the right purposes. Camilla felt a deep sense of relief and pride. She knew that her son had turned a potentially stressful situation into an opportunity to demonstrate his character and abilities. After leaving the royal office, Camilla and Daniel returned to the apartment. The city streets looked ordinary, but both of them knew that extraordinary events had taken place. Camilla watched her son as he walked beside her, carrying his folder of notes with quiet confidence. She realized that his secret had been more than just documents and letters. It had been a reflection of his intelligence, honesty, and careful planning. Back in the apartment, they discussed what had happened. Daniel explained how the officials had responded to his materials and how they planned to use the information responsibly. Camilla listened attentively, feeling admiration for her son's dedication and careful thinking. She realized that the events of the past 2 days had revealed a new side of Daniel, one that was brave, intelligent, and capable of handling responsibility beyond his years. "Mom," Daniel said softly, "I know this situation was unusual. I never imagined that my work would be noticed, but I am glad it can now be used to help people and improve things. I could not have done this without your support." Camilla smiled warmly. "Daniel, I am proud of you. You have shown courage, intelligence, and honesty. You have faced challenges with care and wisdom. I will always support you no matter what comes next." The evening came quietly. Camilla and Daniel sat together in the living room, reflecting on the events of the day. The sunlight had faded, leaving a soft glow from the lamps. The apartment, once ordinary, now felt like a place of growth and discovery. Camilla realized that her son's secret had not caused trouble but had instead shown the strength of his character. She thought about the journey from the initial visit by the royal guard to the careful review at the royal office. Each step had revealed something about Daniel that she had not fully seen before. His calmness, honesty, and careful planning had turned a potentially difficult situation into an opportunity for recognition and positive action. Camilla also realized that responsibility came with challenges. Daniel's work had attracted attention, and while it was being handled properly, there would always be situations in life where intelligence and honesty needed to be balanced with caution and patience. She felt proud that her son had already demonstrated these qualities at a young age. They spoke late into the evening about how to handle sensitive information in the future and how to continue learning responsibly. Daniel shared his thoughts and plans carefully, and Camilla offered guidance and support. Together, they discussed ways to ensure that knowledge could be used wisely and that curiosity could be applied safely. Camilla reflected on the day's lessons. She understood that her son's secret had not been a source of trouble, but a sign of his intelligence, care, and sense of justice. The events had also taught her about patience, trust, and the importance of guiding young minds responsibly. As the night grew quiet, Camilla and Daniel prepared for rest. The apartment, once a simple living space, now felt like a place where growth, learning, and responsibility had been nurtured. Camilla realized that the challenges they had faced were opportunities to understand the depth of Daniel's character and to appreciate his ability to handle complex situations. Before going to bed, Camilla looked at her son with admiration. She knew that the coming days would continue to bring new experiences and challenges, but she also knew that Daniel was ready. His courage, intelligence, and careful planning had turned a potentially alarming situation into a positive and constructive experience. Daniel, too, felt a quiet satisfaction. He had faced scrutiny, shared his work, and demonstrated integrity and responsibility. The events had shown him the value of careful observation, honesty, and patience. He realized that knowledge and truth, when handled responsibly, could have a meaningful impact. In the quiet of the night, mother and son shared a moment of understanding and connection. Camilla felt a mixture of pride and hope, knowing that her son had grown in ways that would prepare him for the future. Daniel felt reassured by his mother's support and guidance. Together, they understood that challenges could be met with wisdom, and that secrets, when kept with honesty and care, could reveal the best in a person. The apartment remained calm, but the lessons of the day stayed with them. Camilla knew that her son's secret had been a reflection of his character, and Daniel knew that the support of his mother would guide him in future decisions. The ordinary apartment had become a place of extraordinary discovery, growth, and responsibility. As they finally rested for the night, both felt a sense of accomplishment and reassurance. The events had tested their patience and courage, but they had emerged with confidence and understanding. Camilla knew that Daniel's abilities and honesty would guide him in all future challenges, and Daniel knew that with careful planning and integrity, he could face whatever life brought next. The experience had not only revealed the secret within the apartment, but also strengthened the bond between mother and son. They had faced uncertainty together, learned valuable lessons, and discovered the strength of trust, honesty, and intelligence. The morning sunlight filled the apartment as Camilla prepared breakfast. The events of the past few days had left her with a mixture of emotions: relief, pride, and hope. Her son, Daniel, had faced an unexpected challenge and had handled it with intelligence, honesty, and responsibility. Today, she knew, would bring the next step in their journey. Daniel entered the kitchen with a folder in his hand. His calm demeanor reflected his confidence. Camilla could see that the experiences with the Royal Guard and the subsequent review had strengthened him. He had not only preserved his integrity, but had also learned how to navigate complex situations carefully. "Mom," Daniel said, "I received a message from the royal office. They would like me to meet with some officials today to discuss how my findings can be used responsibly. I want to make sure that everything is applied in the right way." Camilla nodded. "Daniel, you have handled everything so well so far. I know you will continue to act with wisdom. I will be here to support you." The drive to the royal office was quiet, filled with anticipation. Daniel reviewed his notes carefully, making sure he remembered all the important points. Camilla observed him, impressed by his focus and thoughtfulness. She realized that her son's secret work had not only demonstrated his intelligence but had also prepared him to face responsibilities with calmness and maturity. At the royal office, Daniel was greeted by officials who had already reviewed the materials he had collected. The discussion this time was more focused on how his observations could be used to improve transparency and efficiency in public affairs. Daniel explained his findings carefully, suggesting ways that information could be used to help people and create positive changes. The officials listened attentively, clearly impressed by his insights. They asked questions to understand his reasoning and to see how the information could be applied safely. Daniel responded calmly and respectfully, showing that he had thought deeply about every aspect of his work. One official spoke directly to Daniel. "Your careful observations and notes show intelligence and responsibility beyond your years. Your work can now help guide decisions and improve the way information is handled. We are confident that it will be applied responsibly and effectively." Daniel felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. His work, which had started as a personal project to understand events and record observations, was now being recognized for its potential to make a difference. He realized that honesty, careful planning, and patience could create positive outcomes even in situations that seemed uncertain or challenging. Camilla watched her son with pride. She could see how much he had grown through this experience. The secret that had once caused her worry had now become a source of strength, learning, and accomplishment. Her son had faced scrutiny and responsibility, and he had emerged with wisdom, courage, and integrity. After the meeting, Daniel returned to the apartment with Camilla. The city streets felt familiar, yet they carried a new significance. The ordinary buildings and quiet alleys were now connected to extraordinary experiences and lessons. Camilla and Daniel walked together, reflecting on how far they had come since the Royal Guard's visit. Back in the apartment, they discussed how to handle sensitive information in the future. Daniel shared his plans for organizing his research and notes in a way that would allow him to continue learning without creating misunderstandings. Camilla listened carefully, offering guidance and encouragement. She realized that this experience had not only revealed Daniel's abilities but had also strengthened their bond. "Mom," Daniel said thoughtfully, "I have learned a lot from this situation. I understand that knowledge comes with responsibility. I also know that honesty and careful planning are important when dealing with important information." Camilla smiled warmly. "Daniel, you have shown all of these qualities and more. I am proud of you. You have faced challenges with courage and wisdom. You have also learned how to handle responsibility carefully, and that is very important for the future." As the afternoon passed, the apartment felt peaceful again. The sunlight reflected off the windows, creating a warm and comforting atmosphere. Camilla looked around at the familiar surroundings and realized that the events of the past few days had transformed the apartment in her mind. It was no longer just a place to live. It had become a space of learning, growth, and understanding. Daniel carefully arranged his notes and documents, ensuring that everything was stored safely. He felt a quiet satisfaction in knowing that his work could now be used for positive purposes. He also understood the importance of maintaining responsibility and discretion in the future. His secret, once hidden, had become a source of pride and accomplishment. Camilla and Daniel spent the evening talking about what had happened and the lessons they had learned. They discussed honesty, responsibility, and the importance of using knowledge wisely. Camilla realized that this experience had strengthened not only her son's abilities, but also her trust in him. She knew that Daniel was capable of handling future challenges with intelligence and care. As night fell, the apartment grew quiet. The soft glow of the lamps reflected off the walls, creating a calm and comforting atmosphere. Camilla and Daniel sat together, reflecting on the events of the past days. They realized that the journey had revealed not only the importance of knowledge but also the strength of character and integrity. Camilla felt a deep sense of gratitude and pride. Her son had faced uncertainty and responsibility with courage, honesty, and intelligence. The experience had shown her that true strength lay in careful thought, patience, and ethical action. She knew that Daniel's abilities and integrity would guide him in all future challenges. Daniel, too, felt a sense of accomplishment. He had faced scrutiny, explained his work, and demonstrated honesty and responsibility. The experience had taught him valuable lessons about the use of knowledge, the importance of careful observation, and the need to act with integrity. He realized that even difficult situations could be handled successfully with patience, honesty, and thoughtful planning. The apartment, once ordinary, had become a symbol of growth, discovery, and responsibility. Each book, letter, and note represented a step in Daniel's journey of learning and understanding. Camilla felt proud of the young man her son had become, and confident that he could handle whatever challenges life would bring next. Before going to bed, Camilla and Daniel shared a quiet moment of reflection. They understood that life would continue to bring challenges, but they also knew that trust, honesty, and careful planning would guide them through. Camilla felt reassured that her son had the intelligence, courage, and responsibility to navigate the world successfully. Daniel felt confident and supported. He knew that with honesty, careful observation, and guidance from his mother, he could face any situation responsibly. The secret he had kept had revealed his character and capabilities, and it had allowed him to grow in wisdom and understanding. As they finally rested, both mother and son felt a sense of peace. The events of the past days had tested them, but they had emerged stronger and more confident. Camilla understood that her son's courage and integrity would continue to guide him. Daniel understood the value of honesty, responsibility, and careful planning in every aspect of life. The ordinary apartment, once a quiet living space, had become a place of extraordinary lessons. It had shown that knowledge, when handled with care, could create positive change. It had revealed character, responsibility, and the strength of trust between mother and son. Camilla felt proud and hopeful. She knew that Daniel's abilities and intelligence would help him face challenges and make wise decisions in the future. Daniel felt confident and motivated, knowing that his actions had been recognized and could now make a positive difference. In the quiet of the night, mother and son shared a moment of understanding, pride, and connection. They knew that the journey had revealed not only information, but also the strength of character, integrity, and responsibility. The secret that had once caused fear and uncertainty had now become a source of accomplishment and growth. Camilla smiled as she looked at Daniel. She knew that he was ready for the future, prepared to face challenges with honesty, wisdom, and care. Daniel smiled back, feeling reassured by his mother's support and proud of the way he had handled the situation. The events of the past days had ended positively. Daniel's secret had led to understanding, recognition, and responsible action. The apartment, once ordinary, had been a stage for discovery and growth. Mother and son had faced uncertainty together and emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident than before. As the night settled, both Camilla and Daniel felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had learned that honesty, courage, and responsibility were the keys to overcoming challenges. The secret, once hidden, had revealed the best qualities in Daniel, and his careful actions had ensured that the outcome was positive and meaningful. From that day forward, the apartment remained a place of learning, reflection, and growth. Camilla and Daniel knew that life would continue to present challenges, but they also knew that with trust, intelligence, and careful planning, they could face anything together. The story of the secret inside Daniel's apartment had ended with understanding, pride, and a new beginning filled with hope and confidence.